Yes, on the Commission work program, can you elaborate a bit on the discussions you had with Franz Timmermans, also concerning the withdrawal of certain packages?
Yes, indeed. We had also discussion on withdrawal of certain legislative packages. Namely, we had a discussion on waste management directive as well as air quality package, and the Council has expressed its readiness to work further on those two packages, and we really expect that the Commission will not withdraw its proposals on waste management directive and air quality package. Here we had, I think, quite a broad debate, and I think that the Commission got the all necessary messages from the Council.
You had a question here? Just a moment, you'll get a microphone.
Hi, Associated Press. Mr. Minister, could you tell us how the discussions now stand on the passenger name registry? Whether it looks like there'll be some sort of agreement on Thursday, or whether certain countries are opposed to establishing it. I'd also like your assessment of how important it is at this time for the EU to adopt some new measures to cope with the terrorist threat. Thank you.
Well, as I said, we had a very broad discussion during today's General Affairs Council on terrorism and all the necessary measures the European Union must take. And I have to say that there have been a very broad agreement in the General Affairs Council during our discussions that we have to move forward with passenger names register. We also had a very broad agreement concerning let's say, the need to address terrorism in the comprehensive way, and also there was a very broad agreement during our discussions in General Affairs Council that while we are seeking for efficient measures when it comes to fighting terrorism within the European Union, we all still believe that we should not let's say, in any way hampered the Schengen principles. There can be, of course, targeted proposals, as they have been discussed during Ministers of Justice and Interior meeting in Riga, which was informal and which have been put in a statement. But there was a broad agreement in the Council that also principles of free movement within the European Union, within Schengen zone, should not be, let's say, hampered, that we have to use all the existing instruments of Schengen mechanism that we already have. So from that point of view, also as presidency, we are very much interested, and we will do our best to work with the European Parliament on issues that are concerning passenger name register. On the kind of new measures, I think that we had, as I already mentioned, three councils discussing what can be done concerning the fight against terrorism. We had informal ministers of justice and home affairs meeting in Riga. I think you have seen the statement and all measures they are proposing. We had ministers of finance, and also today actually we adopted some legislative acts concerning the financial flows. And we had yesterday also a very good discussion at the Foreign Affairs Council. So we are all in agreement that we have to have better coordination inside. Information sharing, well, obviously there are some issues we have to address here. We have also the broad agreements that we have to look at terrorism not only from the internal point of view, but also European foreign policy has to engage with regional partners addressing this threat, and that we need also a better coordination when it comes to both internal and external policy arms of the European Union. So I do expect and I do hope that European Council on Thursday will adopt and we'll discuss in detail also and will adopt the necessary statement, but I can say that I have seen a very broad agreement among member states on steps that have been already envisaged throughout different councils, and also quite strong will to proceed with those issues. Of course, when we are going to come to details, there are going to be discussions, which is natural, but I think that there is a strong will to address this terrorism issue in a very, very comprehensive way.
Thank you. Yun? Oh, okay.
Okay, Consoli from Aska News Italy. Can you can I go back to the two packages that the Commission wanted to withdraw? What was your understanding of the Commission response to your request not to withdraw, in particular the circular economy package? Because the other one, they have already said that they will just improve something but not withdraw it. But do you think that the Commission will insist in withdrawing it and representing it? I don't know when.
I think that's the best question to be asked to Commission. I can only say that we agreed to work further and to try to find the best solution possible.
Yeah.
Hello, my name is Jun Nagata from Kyodo News, Japanese news agency. It's a little follow-up the question of colleagues about the fight against terrorists. So at the level of ministers, so they discussed quite a lot, and there were detailed conclusion and the statement already. So what do you expect the head of state and government will add to this already obtained result at the informal meeting? So what will be the most important point for the head of state and government to show their intention to fight against terrorists?
Well, I do believe that states, that heads of state and government would really endorse already the work that has been done by, I already mentioned actually, 3 councils. And I believe also that heads of state and government of the European Union will make a very strong statement on a bill to combat terrorism and to develop very comprehensive approach. Of course, it's up to them, and that's going to be their discussion on Thursday, probably during discussion, to develop some new ideas, but I do not really expect that there is going to be something going beyond what has been already elaborated at the level of Ministers of Interior and Justice, at the level of Ministers of Foreign Affairs, and at the level of Ministers of Finance. I also do hope that we will see also a strong commitment on some of issues that also you asked, for instance, passenger name register, also some other issues. And of course, I think that we all need to engage now in a serious work with European Parliament and to find the way how to solve this issue and how to pass the legislation. So I believe that the heads of state and government really are going to have a very strong political statement endorsing the work and giving the mandate also for EU councils as well as Commission, External Action Service to work further and to develop in already concrete actions those items, those plans that we have discussed in various, let's say, council meetings and also with other stakeholders.
Yeah, there's one more question.
Thank you. In the context of fighting terrorism and the threat from, foreign fighters maybe going to Syria and coming back here, etc., how important is it in that context to bring peace to Syria? And how do you think that will happen? I mean, will that happen? I think there's a growing consensus that it will happen through sort of diplomatic efforts rather than military efforts. But what are your own views on that?
Well, now I think that I have to comment more what we have done yesterday at Foreign Affairs Council, where issues of terrorism, also regional developments, including Syria, were discussed. And I think that you are familiar with the strategies that European Union has adopted on fighting terrorism, ISIL, and particularly with particular attention on Syria and Iraq. So European Union is really committed to continue as much as we can our efforts to bring peace and stability in Syria. You know, there are ongoing talks. There are talks that have been organized recently in Moscow. There is also discussion with Syrian opposition. I believe that at current point in time, we really, first of all, have to facilitate as much as we can political dialogue. We all know how actually difficult it was in Geneva, but we are of commitment that, and here I agree with you, that while we do not have a solution in Syria, it really, let's say, complicates all the efforts to tackle terrorism, to tackle ISIL in broader sense. So I don't believe that currently we can speak about any kind of military solutions. We have seen the push for having political diplomatic solution, or we have our sanction mechanisms, but definitely we see that if we do not address Syria, it is increasingly difficult to fight against terrorists in the region. The whole foreign fighter terrorists who are moving from Europe or from different parts of the world to fight in Syria, Iraq, as a part of ISIL is quite a challenge. But we also understand that without close cooperation with regional countries, involvement of all key actors in resolving Syrian problem, resolving ISIL problem, we are not going actually to have a kind of a sustainable solution for that. That's a clear understanding we have. Of course, it is very difficult to get from that understanding to real actions that influence issues on the ground. But yesterday, also at Foreign Affairs Council, we had quite a commitment to continue to engage with regional actors to solve both issues, Syria and ISIL. Thank you.
Are there any more questions? Does not seem to be the case. Thank you for coming. See you all next time. Thank you.